I'm Jo from Spoilt Beads, and today I'm going to show you how to make a very simple wire wrapped ring, a bit like the knuckle duster I'm wearing today. And this really is a quick 5-minute make when you know what you're doing. Your first one might take you 10 minutes, but after that you'll be away. We've all got a little pot, or possibly a big pot in our stash of leftovers, and you don't know what to do with them. You've used the strand to make a beautiful necklace and earring set, and you don't have enough beads to make a bracelet. Making these rings is quick, easy, and a great money spinner if you're doing craft fairs at schools or in little villages. Things that I'm going to need are my little pot of leftover beads, some 0.8mm or thicker wire. You wouldn't use anything less than a 0.8mm because as soon as you pop it on your finger, it's going to squish out of shape. Then you need a ring mandrel, you need your cutters and some chain nose pliers, a little pen or a pencil, and a ring sizer. The first thing you're going to do using the ring sizer is find out which hole your finger fits into most comfortably, and when you make this wire wrapped ring you're going to go 2 sizes bigger before you pop it onto the mandrel, and with your pen you draw a line around where you're going to be making your ring. We go 2 sizes bigger because as soon as you start wrapping around the ring shaft it brings the size of your ring in. So this is the kind of ring that you can always make smaller but you can never make it larger. So you start by cutting a double wingspan of your 0.8. I'm using the silver non-tarnish wire here, and I've gone fingertip to fingertip, so a wingspan of wire. And you're going to start by threading your bead onto the wire, and you just let it drop vaguely to the middle. Pick up your mandrel, and with my thumb I'm going to hold that bead as flat to the mandrel as possible. That's because this bead I'm using is like a flat coin. In this ring here I've used a smaller round bead, so the technique works with different shapes, but just to keep it, if it's a coin shaped bead you want to keep your bead as flat to the mandrel as possible. And I'm going to start by taking the wires to the back. Now you'll develop your own techniques, and mine is normally with my ring mandrel between my knees, which frees up both my hands to use, but for the purposes of this video I'm going to hold it here so that you can see what I'm doing. Both wires are going to come round to the back of the mandrel, and I'm holding that bead on my line. And I'm going to bring the wires back round to the front. So at the back, they haven't crossed over, they're just lying alongside each other. When I come back round to the front, one wire automatically wants to sit below the bead and one wants to sit above the bead. So we're not going to fight it, we're going to let it do that. And once more, the wires are going to go round to the back and come back up to the front. At this stage, you've still got one wire sitting above the bead and one wire sitting below the bead, one pointing to the left, one pointing to the right. And on the back, you've got 4 wires that haven't crossed over. I've let that slip a bit, so I'm going to move it back to my line. Right, at this stage, we're going to start forming the nest around the bead, the nest of wire. So if you're doing it for the first time, you're going to take one wire at a time and you're not going to fight the direction that they're going in. So I'm going to bring this wire around my bead, all the way around the bottom, round the top and back to the side. And then I'm going to swap hands and I'm going to bring this wire around the top, all the time holding my bead on that line, around the side, around the bottom and back to the side. You're now going to continue wrapping around the bead until you've got about 10 centimeters of wire left either side. I'm going to cheat a little to make it a bit quicker, and I'm going to bring both wires round to the same side, and I'm just going to start wrapping. Sorry, this is a bit fiddly doing it on the video because I don't have a free hand. And I'm pulling quite tight, but not tight enough so that the wire pops underneath the bead and pops the bead up. I want the wire to sit around the bead, forming a nest. If your bead is smaller, you might not want to do quite as much wrapping as I'm doing now. Right, I'm going to take one more round. I had joined both wires together, but at this stage I want one pointing to the left and one pointing to the right again, because I'm now about to take the ring off the shaft and start binding the 4 wires together. So you just slip it off now. You can always pop it back on your mandrel to get the shape again. And at this stage, I pop that onto my finger. This wire is going to wrap those 4 together, and this one is going to wrap the other side together. And we want them to be symmetrical, so we're going to do a similar number of wraps. So take the wire, I'm not fighting the way it's going. Thread the wire underneath all 4. And I do use my chain nose pliers here because I want to pull quite tight, and I get more strength in my fingers and my hand by using my pliers. So pull it through quite tight. That's 1. 2, and I want my wraps to be quite neat together, so I'm going to use my pliers to just push them together like that. 2. All the while I'm keeping that bead as flat as possible with my thumb as well. 3. I'm just going to do 4. That's 4, and I'm not going to cut any wire off yet. I'm going to flip it over and do exactly the same on this side. Pull it tight. That's 2. 3. 4. For a craft fair, you can make the rings all different sizes and you won't have had to measure anybody, but if you're making this specifically for somebody, I would try it on at this stage now. If it's still a little big, you can bring the size in by continuing to wrap these 2 wires around the base of the ring shaft, and that will bring the size in even further. I'm ready to trim my wires off now, so I'm going to bring them round to the outside of the shaft. I don't want them on the inside because then every time I slip my ring on and off it's going to catch on my finger. So I'm coming round to the outside, and with my cutters I'm going to snip that off there and just give that little sharp edge a gentle nudge. Same thing on this side. Trim that off and give that a gentle squeeze in. And you could really adorn your hand with serious knuckle dusters and nobody would meet you in a dark alleyway. I have found that these rings using these big ceramic beads which we've got in the shop have been really popular with all generations. My mum, who's just turned 70, has bought them for herself and all her book club mates because they love them. So that's really quick, start to finish. We haven't stopped the video once. And once you know what you're doing, you'll be making these in 5 minutes flat. Thank you for watching.